Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. It was a race to the finish line, but legislators closed the books on the 2018 session of the Indiana General Assembly while workforce, technology, Sunday alcohol sales bills passed. Efforts at raising the smoking age and consolidating township government, those measures failed, viewed by some as missed opportunities. For more on the winners and losers and the crazy ending to this year's session, let's bring in a man who was close to the action, Indiana Chamber President, CEO Kevin Brinegar. Kevin, is always welcome.
Gary, good to see you.
Okay, it was described as chaos in those last several hours on Wednesday night. What happened?
Well, there were several important bills that the conference committee agreements were reached so late in the day and in the evening that there wasn't time to get them printed, copies made for legislators to look at, debates to occur on the floor, and so they just flat ran out of time. It was like watching a train wreck.
And there's some acrimony going back and forth.
There was acrimony on various things between leaderships and conferees, and I think that was part of the problem. Was in some cases things got kind of personal in a way that I haven't seen for a long time.
One of those measures would essentially align the state's tax code with new changes at the federal level. What are the chances there could be a special session?
Well, I think there are reasonable chances that there would be. I spoke to the OMB director this morning, and we both agree that this legislation is so important to tie our definition of adjusted gross income to the federal code, which has many, many changes because of the major tax reform that just took place in Washington. And so that's critically important. That will be up to the governor to decide. But I think if it happens, it'll happen sooner rather than later, if for no other reason than this tax bill. And then you've got 6 or 8 others where they were ready to be voted on, but they ran out of time, and some important things there as well.
All right, let's talk about some agenda items. Sunday alcohol sales, now the law of the state, so that exists. That happened this session. Workforce was a big issue for the governor, for the chamber, and others, and 2 bills passed. Yeah,
the 2 bills passed, Senate Bill 50 and House Bill 1002. Senate Bill 50 in the end we were sort of ambivalent about, but House Bill 1002 contains some good provisions that will help high school counselors, will provide more training funds, and will make our workforce system more employer-driven and demand-driven.
Okay, so you feel good about the workforce. How about several technology measures, including the software as a service bill to align taxation on
that? It will clarify that software as a service activities are tax exempt in Indiana. There have been some inconsistent rulings from the Department of Revenue, and so we worked really all summer and then leading up through the session to get that legislation passed. A number of the members of the Chamber's Technology and Innovation Council were very helpful in bringing firsthand stories to the State House to help us pass that legislation.
And then also computer science classes mandatory, right, in high schools?
Yeah, there will be a mandatory offering. We think that's important to enhance and pursue our STEM goals and make kids more ready for college and career.
Missed opportunities that you and others talking about coming out of the session. One of them, and you feel strongly that health issues need to come into focus as a priority, raising the minimum age to 21.
That's part of the agenda of the Alliance for a Healthier Indiana, which the Chamber is part of. We want to see the cigarette tax increase as well, because that will reduce the incidence of smoking, and particularly in young people if the price is higher. 5 states have raised their legal age, and that's important because most people who smoke throughout their lives start before age 21.
Yeah, and you're going to continue to push for that?
Absolutely.
One more item, merging of small township governments. It's been talked about for a long time. Is it ever going to happen?
Well, I'm not sure. The structure we have currently now is incredibly wasteful and unnecessary. We had an unusual opponent on that one, and that was the Farm Bureau. It turns out many farmers serve as township trustees and serve on those boards, and in many cases that's where they get their health insurance. But it's questionable that should happen at taxpayer expense.
Very quickly, you've been giving the last several sessions of the legislature good grades. What do you give this session?
Well, we have had a series of what I would call A grades. This one was not a good session for moving Indiana forward. I would say C+.
Okay. All right. Kevin Brinegar, Indiana Chamber. Thanks as always.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.